Imagine this. You are the commander of a massive army. You have hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Your enemy has almost no defense. The city gates are wide open. This should be the easiest victory of your life. But when you enter the city, you see something impossible. There are no soldiers, no weapons, no traps. Only one man sitting calmly on the wall, drinking tea, playing music. He looks at your army and smiles. What would you do? Attack? Or would you wonder, why is this man so confident? This is the story of the day. One man defeated an army without fighting a single battle. More than 1,000 years ago, China was divided by war. Powerful leaders fought for control. Armies moved across the land. Every decision could determine the fate of thousands. During this chaotic period, there was a strategist named Zhuge Liang. Unlike famous warriors who relied on strength, Zhuge Liang relied on something different, his mind. He studied people. He studied emotions. He studied how humans made decisions under pressure. Many people believed the strongest army always wins. But Zhuge Liang understood something deeper. Battles are not only fought with weapons, they are fought inside people's minds. At the time, Zhuge Liang served as an advisor to a smaller kingdom. His army was limited. His resources were limited. Compared with his enemies, he was clearly at a disadvantage. Then one day, a messenger arrived with terrifying news. The enemy commander was approaching, and this was not a small force. It was a massive army led by one of the most experienced generals of the time, Sima Yi. The situation was desperate. Most of Zhuge Liang's soldiers had already left the city. Only a small number of people remained. There was no time to prepare defenses, no time to call for help, no chance of winning a direct battle. The officers around him panicked. You must escape. You cannot fight them. We have too few soldiers. Everyone expected Zhuge Liang to make a decision quickly. Run. Hide. Surrender. Anything would be better than facing such a powerful enemy. But Zhuge Liang did something completely unexpected. He gave an order. Open the city gates. Everyone froze. They thought they had misheard. Open the gates? Yes. Remove the signs of battle. Let the enemy enter. The officers looked at each other. They believed their leader had made a terrible mistake. An open gate was an invitation to destruction. But Zhuge Liang remained calm. Then he said, if we cannot defeat them with strength, we must make them defeat themselves with doubt. When the enemy army finally arrived, they expected resistance. They expected arrows from the walls. They expected soldiers waiting for battle. But instead, the city was completely open. No army, no defense, no panic. And on top of the wall sat Zhuge Liang, calmly playing music, as if nothing had happened. The enemy commander stopped. The soldiers looked confused. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The enemy army stopped outside the city. Thousands of soldiers stood ready. Their weapons reflected in the sunlight. From a distance, the city looked completely defenseless. The soldiers expected chaos. They expected people running away. They expected fear. But what they saw was something completely different. The streets were quiet. The gates were open. And on the city wall, Zhuge Liang sat peacefully. He wore simple clothes. He had no armor, no weapon, no expression of fear. He simply played his music, as if he was not facing an army, but enjoying a peaceful afternoon. The soldiers looked at each other. They did not understand. Why would someone with no chance of victory behave this way? A normal person would be terrified. A normal commander would escape. A normal city would be preparing for its final battle. But Zhuge Liang was doing the opposite. And that created the most powerful weapon in any battle. Doubt. The enemy commander Sima Yi looked carefully at the city. He was not an experienced soldier. He had fought many battles. He knew something important. A desperate person usually shows fear. A person preparing to lose usually makes mistakes. But Zhuge Liang showed none of those signs. That worried him. Sima Yi thought, could this be a trap? Are hidden soldiers waiting inside? Are there weapons prepared somewhere? Every possibility entered his mind. His own soldiers wanted to attack. Commander, the city is open. There are almost no guards. This is the perfect opportunity. But Sima Yi hesitated because he understood something many people forget. The easiest victories are sometimes the most dangerous. Imagine walking into a dark room. You cannot see anything. Would you immediately enter? Or would you wonder what is waiting inside? The unknown creates fear, and fear creates hesitation. Zhuge Liang knew this. He understood that the human mind often reacts not to reality, but to imagination. The enemy was not fighting his army. They were fighting their own questions. The tension grew. Everyone waited for Sima Yi's order. One command, one movement. And the city could disappear forever. The soldiers were ready. The weapons were prepared. But the commander remained silent. He looked at Zhuge Liang. Zhuge Liang looked back. Neither man moved. Two brilliant minds were fighting without weapons. One was asking, is this a trap? The other was asking, will he believe my confidence? Finally, Sima Yi made his decision. Retreat. The soldiers were shocked. Retreat. We have the advantage. The city is undefended. But Sima Yi repeated, retreat. The massive army slowly turned away. The opportunity disappeared. The city was saved. Only after the enemy disappeared from sight did the people inside the city finally breathe again. The officers looked at Zhuge Liang. Some were still confused. Master, was there really an army hiding? Was there a secret plan? Zhuge Liang smiled. No, there was no hidden army. No secret weapon. The officers were stunned. Then why did they leave? Zhuge Liang answered, because the greatest battlefield is not always outside. Sometimes it is inside a person's mind. The city was saved not because Zhuge Liang had more soldiers, not because he had stronger weapons, but because he understood one thing. When people are uncertain, they often imagine dangers greater than reality. And sometimes the person who controls the situation is not the person with the most power. It is the person who remains calm when everyone else loses control. For centuries, people have told the story of the empty city. Many remember the open gates. Many remember the silent streets. Many remember the commander sitting calmly on the wall. But the most important part of this story is not the empty city. It is the empty space inside people's minds. Because in that moment, Sima Yi was not only looking at a city, he was looking at a mystery. And human beings fear mysteries more than they fear obvious danger. If an enemy stands directly in front of you, you know what you are facing. You can prepare. You can respond. But when you cannot see the enemy, your imagination begins creating one. And sometimes, the enemy created by your own mind is stronger than reality. This is why competence can become a powerful force, not fake confidence, not arrogance, but the ability to remain calm when circumstances are uncertain. One of the most interesting parts of this story is not Zhuge Liang, it is Sima Yi. Because Sima Yi was not foolish. He was an experienced commander. He was intelligent. He understood warfare. So why did he retreat? Because intelligence alone does not guarantee correct decisions. Human beings are not machines. We make decisions through emotions, through fear, through assumptions. Through past experiences, a person can have a lot of knowledge and still be controlled by uncertainty. A successful investor can lose money because of panic. A talented entrepreneur can miss opportunities because of fear. A skilled professional can avoid taking a new challenge because they imagine failure before trying. The biggest battles in life are often invisible. They happen inside our own thoughts. Before someone quits a dream, they often lose the battle in their mind first. Before someone gives up, they often convince themselves that failure is already guaranteed. Think about starting a business. Many people have great ideas. They have plans. They have passion. But when the moment comes to act, fear appears. What if nobody buys my product? What if people criticize me? What if I fail? The opportunity disappears, not because they lacked ability, but because uncertainty defeated them before reality had a chance to respond. The same happens in careers. A person receives a difficult assignment, a promotion opportunity, a chance to enter a new field. But they think, I'm not ready. Someone else is better. I might fail. So they choose safety. Years later, they wonder, what could my life have become? Even in relationships, fear controls people. Some people avoid honest conversations because they fear conflict. Some people hide their true feelings because they fear rejection. But avoiding discomfort does not remove problems. It only allows them to grow silently. Lesson 1. Calmness is a form of power. When everyone around you is afraid, the person who stays calm often gains the advantage. Because clear thinking disappears when panic takes control. Lesson 2. Do not fight imaginary enemies. Many people suffer not because of what happened, but because of what they imagine might happen. They create disasters in their minds before life creates them. Lesson 3. Confidence comes from preparation, not pretending. Zhuge Liang's confidence did not come from believing he was invincible. It came from years of learning. Real confidence is built before the crisis arrives. The empty city teaches us something unexpected. Sometimes the greatest challenge in life is not the problem in front of us. It is the fear we create inside ourselves. The person who controls their fear can influence the situation around them. The person controlled by fear often loses before the battle begins. The story of the empty city is not really about war. Most of us will never command an army. Most of us will never stand on a battlefield. But every person will face moments when life feels like an impossible battle. A sudden failure, a lost opportunity, a financial crisis, a difficult decision, a future we cannot predict. And in those moments, we face the same choice. Will we be controlled by fear, or will we remain calm enough to think clearly? Fear is strange. It does not always appear when we are weak. Sometimes it appears exactly when we are about to grow. A person afraid of failure may never start. A person afraid of criticism may never express their ideas. A person afraid of change may remain trapped in a life they no longer enjoy. The danger is not fear itself. Everyone feels fear. The danger is allowing fear to make every decision for you. So how can ordinary people develop this kind of strength? The story of the empty city gives us 3 practical lessons. First, prepare before the crisis arrives. People often admire confidence, but they forget where confidence comes from. Real confidence is not telling yourself, everything will be fine. Real confidence is knowing, I have prepared myself enough to handle what happens. A person who studies, learns, and improves every day builds a foundation that fear cannot easily destroy. Think about an athlete. The athlete does not become confident during the final competition. Confidence was created through thousands of hours of preparation before that moment. The same applies to life. Your calmness during a crisis is created by your actions before the crisis. 2 people can face the same situation. and experience completely different realities. One person loses a job and thinks, my life is over. Another person loses a job and thinks, this is painful, but maybe this is a chance to build something new. The event is the same. The interpretation is different. Interpretation changes everything. Many times, we cannot control what happens, but we can control the meaning we give to what happens. That is one of the greatest powers humans have. In the story, the soldiers saw an empty city. Their fear came from what they imagined, not what they knew. Life is similar. People around you may tell you, that is impossible. You are taking too much risk. You should stay where you are. Sometimes their advice is valuable, but sometimes they are simply sharing their own fears. A person who follows everyone else's fear may never discover their own potential. Listen carefully, think independently, then make your own decision. The empty city was powerful because one person remained calm when everyone expected panic. But perhaps the greatest lesson is this: the strongest person in the room is not always the person with the most power. Sometimes it is the person who can stay clear-minded when everything around them becomes uncertain. Life will open many empty cities in front of us. Moments where we do not know what will happen. Moments where the future feels impossible to predict. In those moments, remember, fear asks, what if everything goes wrong? Wisdom asks, what is the best decision I can make right now? Welcome to Human Nature Chronicles. Here, we explore ancient stories, history, and timeless wisdom, not just to understand the past, but to understand ourselves, because human nature has changed very little. The problems people faced thousands of years ago are often the same problems we face today. Fear, ambition, pride, choice, and the search for a better life. If this story gave you a new perspective, consider subscribing. Every week, we discover another story from history and uncover the lessons hidden inside. Thank you for watching. Remember, the greatest battles are not always fought with weapons. Sometimes they are fought inside the human mind.